Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is a well-received Fire Emblem game with, well, some financial quirks. You can get the game for the cheap price of $200, or you can get it for the other cheap price of $450 plus a $40 a year subscription. Well, there are other ways, but those require some wavy methods. Either way, I decided that since I had already beaten the game a few times, I should go for a different approach. I just mess around and have no idea what I did, so this should be fun and not stressful at all. I will play through this game on normal difficulty because I have no idea how bad things will go. In the prologue of the definitely normal Path of Radiance playthrough, Ike decides that using a sword is for normies, cause too many of his Smash friends. I know how bad that sounds now actually. He decides that it's actually better to start using a spear, because technically that's just a sword on a stick. Eating dirt might also be the reason for the weapon switch up. The prologue starts by Ike fighting Boyd, which if we look at the weapon triangle, is a bad idea. Luckily we have a javelin, so we can just attack without actually getting hit, because Boyd just doesn't move. Of course, Grail is no problem considering he brought a sword to a spear fight. In chapter 1 of my very normal playthrough, Ike, Titania, Boyd and Oscar get sent to deal with some bandits in a nearby village. Titania decided to ditch her horse and become a warrior, picking up a bow in the meantime. Oscar also dropped his horse and spotted his brother Rolf practicing with a bow, and he stole that bow. Boyd, on the other hand, became an absolute mad lad by taming a freaking wyvern and growing some beautiful red hair. Not sure if he belongs to the brothers now, but this is definitely not a bad batch of units. This map was really trivial though, especially considering I started with 4 iron lances. In chapter 2 of you know it by now, Rolf and Miss get captured, and just like any smart person would do, we would wait, cause it's obviously a trap. Aside for that it's obviously a trap, it does seem like a fun time to trample on some bandits who dare to take the younglings. In this chapter we meet Reese, who decided that being a healer sucks, cause they constantly die. But this time no healer will die at all, because they are 100% not useless. Either way, Reese is a mage now. A much better class that can change into a sage. At least if the class changes aren't randomized in this game. In chapter 3 we get punished for our previous misbehavior, because that's what happens, and have to team up with Gatry and Shinon, and also Titania, but we already met her, so who cares. Gatry has decided that being a man is unnecessary and he became a Mia. Shinon on the other hand picked up some lances and a horse and decided it was time to stop being the worst character in the fucking game. We could have talked to Marcia in this chapter to recruit her later, but she got her elixir stolen and gets killed before I had the chance to talk to her. Luckily enough she was just a wyvern 9, so Boyd's not getting replaced. Aside for that very sad, oh so sad loss, this map was kind of nice and trivial. In chapter 4 we meet Soren, who is known for being Ike's first love interest and also being a really good mage. Sadly enough he forgot how to read and only uses staves. But at least we have a healer now, so no one actually has to die. Oh well, Mia has died, so basically we didn't have a single death this chapter. We do find a green-haired, important-looking person. How do I know that? Well, she's important because green hair. In chapter 5 I realized that Soren has the shade skill, making him kind of invisible to all enemies, which is good for a healer. But you can guess what happens next, right? Yeah. What unfortunate events that surely no one saw coming. Oh well, should I be more careful? Other than that, in this map it is required that you protect the fort for 6 turns, because the boss on this map is impatient and wants to eat his breakfast. This is how he easily misses out on capturing the important character with green hair, whom is a princess, because what else could she be? In chapter 6 the Grail mercenaries decide to diverse. and Ike and his gang are left to escape from the map. Since this is a randomizer, all enemies have a chance to have a better weapon than they should be having. So instead of going in like a maniac, I decided to strategize for once and go through the left area, simply because the enemies are weaker there. I do get hit by some venom weapons, which gives me the weak status effect of being poisoned, which can be annoying if you have considerable low maximum HP, but no one died on this map though, because Grail told us at the start of the map that dying is for buffoons. In chapter 7 we have to rout the enemy, which basically means kill everybody, which is also easier said than done, considering all my units are considerably weak. In this chapter we meet Mia, who instead of being a character living in Ike's shadow, is now a Swords Knight who can possibly become a paladin if the game doesn't randomize that. Reese does almost die, but because of his Wrath skill he becomes a much better unit. At the end of the chapter we get a sneak peek at what our next characters can be and get to meet the Black Knight, who is still the Black Knight, which is kind of underwhelming. I would have loved to see something funny like Ike or something. Either way, Grail forgets his own words that he just said a chapter ago and dies like a buffoon. In chapter 8 we have to defend the castle from the Daean army for 8 turns. Considering there are 3 choke points in this chapter and I have decently chunky units that I just leveled up with my bonus XP, nothing can actually go wrong. Yeah, I forgot this was a randomizer. I decided to take the safe approach and gave everyone a vulnerary at the start of the map because of how unpredictable this game can be, especially considering that Wyvern Knights just disregard choke points. Once again, Reese almost dies, but clutches it up with his Wrath skill. On this map we can recruit Ilyana, who is, instead of a mage, a bow knight on a horse. Meaning paladin time, baby! If the game isn't randomized in that way at least. This was honestly a scary chapter and I was truly in despair. But I was also hopeful for the next parts of this run, considering Mordecai is a freaking dragon now. That's where I will end the video for now. I must say this makes the game quite challenging and makes me approach a game in a different way, especially since everyone has steel fucking lances. I hope you all enjoyed it and I will see you all later in the next video. Subscribe and like. Goodbye.